Hey guys, I think I just met someone happier than 90% of people on the internet, including me. Let's ask him what her secret is.
Hi everyone, I'm 74 years old. You know, real happiness has very little to do with how much money you have. And you know something funny? The day I stopped chasing happiness was the day I actually found it. A lot of people look at me and assume I don't have much. Some probably think my life must be difficult. But the truth is, well, I already have everything I need. It just took me many years to understand that. And honestly, it started with the first thing most people completely misunderstand about happiness. The first secret. Happiness begins when you stop wanting more. Most people believe happiness comes from getting more. More money, more success, more things, more achievements. I used to believe that too. I mean, I spent many years of my life trying to get just a little more. I always thought that if I could just move a little further ahead, a little more money, a little more stability, a little more success, then yeah, I'd finally feel happy. But the strange thing was, the more I had, the more I felt like something was missing. And that feeling of missing something, well, it makes it really hard to enjoy anything you achieve. It's almost like our minds get numb to the stimulation. You reach a goal, you feel good for a moment, and then pretty quickly that feeling fades. So you start wanting the next thing, and then the next one after that. But the more you chase it, the quicker you get bored with what you just achieved. And before you know it, you're running harder and harder, and honestly, feeling more tired than ever. At some point, you realize you're not chasing happiness anymore. You're just chasing the next hit. It took me a long time to realize the problem wasn't what I had. It was what I believed I needed. The moment you learn how to want less, life doesn't become smaller. If anything, it actually becomes lighter. Peace shows up the moment you stop negotiating with life for just one more thing. And I realized that one day when I happened to walk past a place I had never really paid attention to before. One day I was walking through my neighborhood and passed by a small charity center. I saw people carrying boxes of food and clothes inside, and a few others waiting outside. At first, I was just going to walk past it, but something made me curious. I kind of wanted to know what was going on in there. So yeah, I stepped inside. What surprised me wasn't the food or the donations. It was the way people treated each other. The volunteers were kind and patient, and the people who came for help, even though many of them were clearly going through hard times, they were still friendly and respectful. I started talking with a few of them. Some had lost their jobs. Some were trying to take care of their families. Some were just going through a rough chapter in life. And as I listened to their stories, I began to realize something very clearly. My whole life, I had always looked upward, always comparing myself to people who had more than me. But I rarely looked downward to see that there were many people carrying much heavier burdens than I was. And in that moment, I asked myself a very simple question. If my life is actually already quite comfortable, why am I not happy? And the answer? Well, It was pretty simple. Because I never stopped comparing myself to people above me, and I always believed I needed more in order to feel equal to them. Comparison is a trap, because no matter where you stand, someone will always have more. After that day, I started coming back to that place more often, and little by little, it just became part of my daily life. Now, every morning, I walk about 15 minutes to that charity center. I'm not there for money. I'm just there to help. Some days I organize donated clothes. Some days I wash dishes. Some days I help serve meals to people who need them. The work is simple, but honestly, I really enjoy those mornings. I meet different people, hear different stories, and sometimes just a short conversation is enough to make someone's day a little better. They also let me eat there, breakfast, sometimes lunch. Just very simple meals, but strangely enough, they often taste better than the expensive meals I used to have years ago. Funny thing is, the simpler my life became, the easier it was to enjoy it. And those ordinary mornings slowly taught me the second secret of happiness, something many people never really think about. The second secret: happiness grows when you become useful to others. One thing I've noticed over the years is this: the days I feel the best are not the days when something good happens to me, not the days when I receive something. The best days are the ones when I'm able to help someone else. When you help others, something kind of shifts in your mind. You stop spending the whole day thinking about what you don't have, and you start thinking about what you can do for someone else. In fact, you start spending your days wondering what you can give instead of what you can get. And when you feel useful, life naturally begins to feel more meaningful. Purpose can sometimes heal a heart faster than comfort ever could. And at that charity center, almost every week there's a moment that reminds me of that. One morning, a young man came in to receive food. He kept apologizing over and over, as if needing help was something he should feel ashamed of. He told me he never thought he'd be standing in line for free meals. I told him something very simple. I said, "Today you're receiving help, but one day you might be the one helping someone else." Life kind of moves in circles like that. Sometimes we're the ones who need help, and sometimes we're the ones who give it. After hearing that, he smiled for the first time that morning. Just a small smile. But moments like that always remind me of the third secret to happiness. The third secret: peace begins when you accept life as it is. A while ago, I read a book by Osho about happiness, and there was a part that really stayed with me. He said that in life there are three kinds of problems. The first kind are problems we can actually do something about. Things like improving our health, learning new skills, or working harder at something that matters to us. These are problems where our effort can truly change the outcome. The second kind are problems we cannot control at all. The past is a good example. What already happened, happened. No matter how much we replay it in our heads, we cannot change it. Some events in life simply fall outside our control. Then there's the third kind, the problems that sit somewhere in between. Situations where we can influence things a little, but we can't fully control the result. Relationships are often like that. You can show up with honesty, kindness, and effort, but you still can't control how the other person responds. And what Osho pointed out is that many of us spend most of our energy fighting the second type, the things we cannot change. That's where a lot of our stress and frustration comes from. Once I understood that, I started letting go of things that were never really mine to control in the first place. Some battles in life aren't meant to be won. They're meant to be accepted. After I finish helping at the charity center, I walk home in the evening. I live in a very small place, just a small room, a chair, and a window. At night, I usually read the newspaper. Some evenings, I simply sit there, read a few pages, maybe have a cup of tea, and rest. Nothing special happens. No noise, no rush, just a very ordinary evening. But the funny thing is, those quiet little moments often become the happiest part of my entire day. The fourth secret: gratitude turns ordinary days into rich ones. Many people believe they need extraordinary moments to feel happy. A big success, a big trip, a big turning point in life. But real happiness usually lives inside very ordinary days. Many people look at me and think I have nothing, but they're wrong. I have food every day. I have a place to sleep. I have people I can help. And when I close my eyes at night, I have peace. To me, that's everything. People think happiness comes from having more, but real happiness comes from needing less.
Sometimes the richest person in the room is the one who finally stopped chasing more. If this conversation made you think, share it with someone who might need it today. And if you want more real-life stories like this, make sure you subscribe. And if life has taught you something the hard way, tell us in the comments.